Hey, alrighty then. Hopefully, everything is happening here. See what's going on. So we're gonna try this again. Um, we did this yesterday, and obviously there's a few issues. Those issues being, of course, that well, nobody could hear me, and that's because I tested I tested the stream with earbuds, and then I totally spaced that those were connected to the iPad, so you were listening to me on the phone rather than that. So yeah, let's walk and talk, and I'll hopefully take you around a little park here. Let's see if I can do this appropriately, and I will flip the this here so you can see what's happening. A nice view here. Okay, kids. If you missed yesterday, or if you came yesterday and couldn't hear a thing, which is likely, what uh, so all right, if you recall, picking back up, we've been off air for about a year, dealing with a bunch of stuff, including some very serious but undiagnosed health issues, just sort of some mystery thing. And I continued to say throughout that entire process, that I would be fine with if we could find something very easily, take a pill and it's done, or even if it were something terminal, as long as it was pretty quick and straightforward, I would be all right. Um, what I didn't want was some lingering, ongoing, never-ending nonsense. And guess what I get? It's awesome. All right, so yeah, so back to what we have is myalgic encephalomyelitis. I know it's a mouthful. That's why I just put ME. Myalgic encephalomyelitis, which is a so again, they call it's untreatable. There's no cure. There's no really treatment other than, well, we'll get into some more of that later. But there's yeah, we'll do the Latin again. Myalgic, that deals with the nerves, and or rather, I'm sorry, myalgic. So we'll go backwards. So myalgic is muscles, and then the encephalo is the nerves. Itis is always an inflammation, so the mylar is the sheath that goes around the nerve. So what you basically, if you put it all together, you have myalgic encephalomyelitis, which is an inflammation of the nerve sheath packet as it hits the muscles. That doesn't really tell you much. It doesn't really mean much. That's not a person. That's just a stump there. I'm playing with a toy, in case you hadn't noticed. Um, but there's another name for at least an umbrella term, right? Which is called chronic fatigue syndrome, or CFS. And I guess the best way I can describe it, to my understanding, similarly to the way that everybody who has Asperger's is on the spectrum, but not everybody on the spectrum has Asperger's, right? So similarly, ME is a kind of CFS, but not all CFS is ME. Okay, so that's my understanding. Basically, what it does, and so the likelihood is that I probably had this for like 20 years and just didn't. It's progressive, right, and degenerative. So I didn't know it. I didn't know what was happening until I just kept getting more and more tired. And frankly, because I have sort of long-term chronic depression, I thought, well, depression's kind of keeping me down. I've atrophied a little bit. I'm not as healthy as I used to be, so I get really tired. But as it turns out, that was backwards, right? So I would just get one of the major components of it is called orthostatic intolerance, which so you move around, and normally your body takes care of that. It gets rid of lactic acid and all that sort of stuff. Um, for whatever reason, my body won't do that. And so it creates, you get really sick, right, afterwards. And so that was the cause of all the crazy vomiting and everything. So I'll flip this around, or at least try to give you a look-see here so we can spend the time together, right? So, all right. So throughout the, set this down here. Okay, so throughout this time, basically what had happened was I would just get sick, right? And um, it never felt like nausea, right? It was just the strangest thing. I'd never had anything like it before. Like I suddenly get like a stomach cramp, right? It felt like a cramp, and it was hit so fast, and it was violent, but it also didn't relieve it. Like in the past, if I were feeling nauseous, often vomiting would make me feel better, and so it would relieve it. This did not have that effect, and also it was very strange. I don't want to get too gross and graphic, but it was weird. I can do this, because it's you won't be able to do that there. So what if I do this? I'll try. Let's see if I do this and make it. Can I do that? This, okay. There's that. I guess I have to turn this down. Hey, okay. So if I do this and then do, oh, I guess I would have to. That's awesome. Okay, so I guess I have to do that, and then let's see. How would I do this? I have to wait because I'm behind. Yeah. So Georgia, the sound went on and off yesterday. You know why? Is because I had these earbuds in, and they were connected to the to the iPad when I checked instead of to the phone, which was the camera. So it was you were only hearing through the open microphone. That's why. All right. So anyway, that's the basics of it. Um, Myalgic encephalomyelitis is that, and as you get a closer look here, you can also see, as I was talking yesterday, just all the crazy things that have been going on. For example, like I had some a bad dental condition, right, and saving up to try to get that taken care of because it's basically going to be a complete redo, right? I'm going to need basically have them all extracted and then get implants, and then so I went, got some research done and saw it was going to cost about 25,000. Like, okay, so we saved and scrimped for about 3.5 years, and I finally went in and made the appointment, got in there and did all the tests. I'm a great candidate, lots of bone, no problem. They put the implants here, and then who are you going to use for your appliances? And I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, you go to another guy, and he does the stuff, and uh, yeah, so he does this guy, the periodontist. He does the implants and the extractions, and the other guy is the one who does the replacements. I'm like, oh crap! So it's going to cost twice as much now. So I don't know what we're going to do with that. It's just one thing after another, right? So, um, and again, not complaining, just letting you know what has been going on. So throughout the last 2 years, obviously, as I began to get sicker and sicker, um, it reduced my time at work. I was on this cycle, right, where it was about 3.5 or 4 hours I could work, and then I would get sick, and it would take a day to recover. And so, again, so I thought it was like a cyclical vomiting syndrome or something like that because it seemed to repeat at a regular interval. However, again, the regular interval was because, if I'm talking fast, it's cold out here. The regular interval was because that it was, you know, basically that's how much energy I could expend before having orthostatic intolerance and getting ill. So, um, so it made obviously a difficult thing at work and reduced the amount that I could work, which obviously reduced the income, which then ultimately led to a meeting last couple 10 days ago, something like that. That probably they'll have to do something different at the end of the year um, uh, because they need somebody who can be there full time. So I'm going to hand off information to them, and then I don't know what's going to happen exactly. Um, and the thing is, like I tell you this not as a sob story or a scare or anything. It's just that I think I want to encourage you and say I of the people I know that follow Dad closely and listen closely, right? Um, you know, well, I guess I'll back up here and say if you have any experience with Dad, you know that becoming his friend doesn't make everything perfect, right? Like, I mean, it certainly does heal your heart and fill your spirit, but in terms of your position in the world, that is basically asking for trouble. The world doesn't want that. And so, almost without exception, everyone that I've seen that has ever really committed their life to dad has had an utter shit show within like the first week they make that decision. Um, Many don't make it past that. Some do. Over time, you learn that you can trust him, right? He never promised that things were going to be great. He promised he'd be with us. In fact, he promised it would be difficult. In this world, you will have trouble, right? And if the world hates me, how much more are they going to hate you? So don't get used to the idea. We shouldn't be surprised by that, especially if we're in the times that it seems that we appear to be in, that we're going to be. In fact, again, Jay Bro said that there will be people who will kill you thinking they're doing God a service. I think that's pretty easy to see at this point. So, if anything, I want to encourage and say so many people that I know are going through so much and so much worse even than me. Like I've been blessed my whole life, preternaturally healthy. In fact, that's part of the problem. Part of the reason we couldn't find anything is because every test that I would do, like I was in perfect health, except for what's killing me, right? So, like other than that, how was the play, Mrs. Lincoln? Other than that, how was Dallas, Mrs. Kennedy? Right. So, um, every test that we'd run, I was in perfect preternatural health, except this thing we couldn't find. But it is a diagnosis of exclusion, and so it took some time to get to. And while it's been a fairly brief period, about I don't know, less than 2 weeks now since I've had a diagnosis that we can reliably count on, trying to get as much information as I can about what it is and how to deal with it. And again, there is no um, immediate cure. There's no treatment plan. It is a progressive degenerative thing. And again, that brings with it all sorts of problems now. Again, is it like, okay, so if I'm going to not have a job, and clearly we were planning on leaving the Pacific Northwest anyway for a variety of reasons, but now all those things that are absolutely necessary, which is the physicality of the doing the stuff, the movement, all the things that are going to happen, suddenly I lack the ability, right? And then the whole idea that I say idea, premise, and now feels like pipe dream, right? Of trying to do some, hippie cult commune thing, right? Takes an awful lot of effort, and all of a sudden here I am unable to contribute effort, and I already didn't have a lot of money, So I don't. All I can say is that's going to be completely in Dad's hands if that's ever going to come to fruition. I feel like that's where I'm being, led to pursue that. Although, how I have no idea. I don't even know how we're going to make it through honestly, like the end of the year and doing the teeth thing. And once we get down to the end of the road with the contract I have, like what happens then? I don't know. But I do know I can trust Dad, and Dad is good. And my experience has been never too much and never too soon, in a very terrifying way sometimes. But he always provides, always, always, always has. And so I meet this in some ways with at least that part with, I don't know, Thanksgiving and joy, because I know Dad's with me and I see his hand right in it. Everything that's happened in the midst of this has been absolutely, I see him in it, right? Even though the outcome is not what I wanted, he's moving. And so I just have to follow, that direction. But really, I guess what I wanted to say, the only reason I came here today was because the audio from yesterday was such crap. And it was just my fault. I forgot to switch the earbuds with the microphones from the iPad to the phone, which is where the camera was. It's so dumb. I'm so sorry. I've just been so scattered. And I was so sick, too. Like, it almost didn't happen. I was talking to David Reif just prior and saying, man, I really feel like, Dad's nudging me he has been for weeks, right, to start streaming again. And every time I'd try to do it at home, something would go wrong. I was sitting there just exasperated in tears. Like, I spent all week and hours trying to get things working. And, again, I've got all these different pieces, all of which should work. And it's well within my capability. This is what I have done at a high expert level all my life, but it is clearly some kind of weird spiritual battle that you get an item and you put it in, it works fine for, I don't know, 20 minutes and suddenly just says, nope, not going to do what you want anymore. So that's awesome. Anyways, just all these kind of frustrations, like at every single turn. And so usually when something like that occurs, my instincts are, if the doors are closing, am I supposed to go through it, right? And so many doors are closing, it was just like impossible. well, then sometimes that means that's where you are supposed to go and you're in the midst of a major spiritual battle, so fight through. So it feels like I'm supposed to fight through, but it's been an awfully difficult thing to do. And again, I, I hesitate. I regret telling you difficulties because that's not my point. I'm not here to go, oh, it's so hard. I think instead, what I want to say is, I know it's hard. Like all of us have been getting our asses kicked, right? And so I want you to know that you're not alone, and not just that you're not alone here, because we are all going through it. But Dad is with you. If you trust Dad, He promised He'll be with us, right? And He said, "I will never leave you nor forsake you," and I promise I won't either, right? Like even the last year, I haven't been gone, just being quiet, right? And trying to take care of the things that needed caring for. And so I got answers, right? I now know what's wrong with me. I guess to a degree, other than um, but and so right away I'm like looking into some like natural remedies and that sort of stuff. I it just don't, I think right now just adjustment to everything is probably necessary. But in the interim, here's my thing for you guys: is that I just miss you so much, and I miss the time that we spend together. And I'm, a year behind on content. There's so much happening that we could have broken down together, and I think some of it, like, the time has passed. But there are some other things I think that um, present a real opportunity, right? The things that have been happening between, I guess, if we go to the Johnny Depp trial and then the war in Ukraine and all this stuff, is that a lot of people are getting woken up to the idea that the news media isn't really being often completely honest with them. And there are a few who are actually taking it to heart and go, wait a minute, if they're lying about this, what else might they be lying about? And that's a great opportunity to present them truth. But, I think that can only people, again, my take on it is, only the thirsty will drink, you know, and anyone else, they'll think like you'll feel like you're drowning them, so they'll take it poorly. But all I was, the real purpose of today was to say apologies for the poor audio. Again, I am trying to make things work here, right? You see a couple of toys here. I'm trying to make it where we can spend some quality time together. I hadn't tried any of it out, but I forgot to switch over the earbuds, and because I'm just used to doing it at home with a nice studio mic and headphones and the whole thing. So that's all. Anyway, I guess the other thing would be in the comment section, or send me an email, whichever. I'm still trying to kind of filter through how I want to move forward with the next segment. So, ancient wisdom for a modern world is a definite. That's just never going to not be a part of it. Um, like sola scriptura, probably get folded into that. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. Um, what was once the Poppycock Report might be something called the Crock Pot. We'll see how that works out. But that's maybe lower on the list, and then some kind of unintended consequences, but um, perhaps more, I don't know, philosophical. I don't know. We'll see. So, but what I think I'm asking for is your input. Like, what is going to be of value to you right now? Because I'm really here largely for you. Just me telling you my opinion doesn't really help me that much. And I don't even know honestly, how much it helps that many people. But I have gotten wonderful words of encouragement from people um, who do say that sharing the time with Pops is good for them. And man, if that's helpful for you, I will come out here in a freaking blizzard every day to spend time with you, because that's my commitment. So we'll spend time loving on each other and um, encouraging one another and learning together as we get through this, hopefully, last phase of this crazy place. Wouldn't that be great? Anyway, I'm so delighted you guys are here. Let me look real quick and see who dropped in. I know it's holy cow. Hey Rob, yeah, hey Rob. Yeah, Asperger's make you sick for sure, right? Also, I was going to note that somebody had commented, because I broke out one of these terrible long darts the other day. These are for sure going away, but even so, they said, yeah, that'll make you sick. But just bear in mind that the Marlboro is a ruse. I usually buy a couple of packs for when I don't have time, and the rest of them I roll by hand. I just roll a regular king size, and they fit into the 83 pack perfectly. So I roll my own and stick them in there um, to make it easier to carry them around. Usually, now sometimes if I'm in a hurry, and I gotta have that pack to get a couple of to empty out to carry them around anyway. So I try to be cognizant of that, but I've decided it's time. These have got to go. I'm just too old for this shit. And anything I can do to help improve the health is at this time necessary. Um, spend a lot of time with this sort of thing. You think about mortality and the time you have left and the things you did and didn't do and regrets and all that sort of stuff. And I think most of my regrets have to do primarily with just not doing more. Not getting closer to Dad sooner and trusting him more early on, because I could have saved myself so much heartache. And to learn what love was, sooner than later. And I say not like I really know much these days, but certainly better than I did. At least on the right path, I hope. Anyway, you guys are terrific, and thank you so much for you know continuing to encourage me. And I thank all of you who have sent notes of kindness and encouragement um, during this difficult period. But hopefully we'll get to spend more time together more frequently. And so, as you see, I've made a commitment. Like if I couldn't get the thing working at home, I was going to try some other way. So got a new phone, right, and set it up so we could do some of this, like wherever I can. Hopefully this helps. So we're going to try to get the thing at home working again, like the computer works, but all the hardware is still just freaking out. No idea what's up with it. It's like I might have to do a clean install, and it's just a hassle, right? But we'll get there. We will get there, and because I miss you, and I think it's good that we should hang out. Anyway, I think that's all I have for today. And my butt's cold, and it's kind of chilly out here. So with that, I'll grab this thing, and I guess so. Flip it back around here and come this way. And see, it's supposed to be trying to follow me, and I stepped out of camera, and then now it can't. Right. So it's a pretty groovy little rig here, right? So it could do some neato stuff and try to do some neat film stuff. But anyway, we'll flip around here again. You guys are the best. You know it. I know it, and we're gonna walk through this together, right? And so if you'll have me, I'll have you, and we'll do this together. Love you guys. Be well. Let's see if I can do this without being retarded. Bye.